let's do lesson 2 about Python, beginner Python course. So in this lesson, we are going to learn few things, and each section I have comment out the section like this. So it's not a short video, but let's go through the section one by one. I would recommend you do the same at home or during your own time to section your code properly. And the purpose of this is to let you record down what you have done neatly, so that when you refer back to your code in future to revise on the learning knowledge, you can clearly see the sections that you have done before. Okay, so let's start. Let's go to learning point 1, comments and debugging. Okay, so what is comments and debugging? Basically is by the simple hashtag, we can write comments such as human languages that no need computer to compile your code, or in other words, it's invisible to the computer after the hashtag. So you can say it, this is a demo, and this line will not be seen to computer, but it will be seen by you. Okay, so or you can write a code, say print, let's do a simple greeting, hello. Okay, by putting the hashtag in front of code, it will also make this line invisible to the compiler of computer. So when you run this code, it will not give you any output in the shell window here on the left side. Okay, now let's remove the hashtag and print again. First, you should see the print become not red color, right? So it will become the purple print with the string green, the string value inside the double quotes, which is green color, hello. And then when you run the code, you should be seeing the output, hello, over here. Okay, so now here we learned about the hashtag. So whenever you put a hashtag in front of a code or in front of a command line that you want to explain your code, it will not be visible to your computer. Okay, now let's explain the debugging. Why comments is related to debugging? Imagine you have 100 lines of code and it has stopped at maybe line 89 and you don't know what's going wrong, and you want to just comment out this line to see what happened, what is the next error output location. So this is a good tool that you can use, the hashtag, to temporarily comment off your code just for debugging purpose if you're not really sure on the error output. What does it mean? Okay, so this is about comments and debugging learning point. I hope you got what I mean. If you didn't really know what I say, then you can always rewind back the video and listen again. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Experience your first syntax error. Okay, so what is syntax error? Let's do an example. Basically, a syntax error is you didn't follow the compiling rules of a language. For example, if I said, I can use single quote also. Hello, I am Nick. Okay, so by this simple output, we know that by our human understanding and human language, we know that is hello, I'm Nick, right? But to computer, it got confused, and why it is confused, I'll explain later. But let's run our code first. Okay, so you have the error output over here, detected at line 6. Now, where to see your line? Look at the cursor I'm stopping here, right? And look at the line number over here below the right bottom corner of the file window. And you see ln is line, and then colon, the line number. Okay, so it's line 6. And it has an error here. Okay, so this is typical syntax error that we purposely created. Basically, it says that I don't really understand what you want because computer get confused that it has 3 single quotes. To computer, I am here is not the short form of the English I am. Yeah. So what it understands is that, okay, I have an open quote here and I have a closing quote. I should be able to print out this. But wait, what happened? How come there is another single quote here? So which one is the closing quote? So computer got confused and it don't know what to do. So it tell you the error output just now in the pop-up window. So how to fix this error is by two solutions. Solution 1, okay, let's comment out this. Just now I do copy and paste. So if you forgot how to do the shortcut, copy and paste, you refer to lesson 1. Okay, this is very useful in typing out the code. You don't want to type out the code again by the same section, right? So some computer shortcuts is very useful to learn. Okay, refer back to lesson 1 if you forgot how to do that. Don't worry, it's a frequent practice issue. If you practice more, then you will get used to it. Okay. Alright, so print hello, I'm Nick. This is solution 1. Solution 2 is about escape character. I'm going to put it under here. Okay, so later we will go through solution 2 together. Alright, so how to solve this issue? Very simple. You can actually change the type of quotation currently. So basically is, in order to use single quote, we are going to use different type, double quote. And right now computer understand that, oh, okay, so this is the opening and this is the closing. It won't consider the single quote as closing because it's different from the beginning double quotes. So this computer can differentiate the difference between the opening quote and closing quote, and it should not give you any syntax error. So let's run it. Now it can run out the output normally. Okay, so let's do the next learning, learn the next learning point, escape character. Escape character is a backslash where you want to escape, let computer to escape that symbol or special character or special part of the code. So let's paste the, it's not solution 2, let me copy again on the syntax error line and go to here. So basically this is solution 2, okay? Right, so here at solution 2, we're trying to use the backslash escape character. So in case we don't want to change the, let's say my habit, I want to use single quote. I don't want to use double quote. So another option you can use to resolve this problem is by the escape character. So what does it do is, computer comes to here, knows that, hey, I need to print out a string output. And when it goes to here, it knows that, oh, you have put a escape character where I should escape the symbol behind this backslash. And now I find my closing single quote. So I have no longer confused and will not give you an error as in return. So here, question is, what do you think? Do you think this special character will print out as normal string? Meaning that it will print out like hello I / backslash single quote am and Nick. Will it be print out or it will not be print out? The answer is no, it will not be print out. Okay, it's a special character that just you and computer understands. It no need to print out as a output. Okay, so here let's run out the code. As you can see, this line comes out from solution 1 and this line comes out from solution 2. Okay, so basically they gave the same output, but the approach of the solution is different. Whichever the solution you preferred, you can choose as your own programming habits. Okay, so let's do one more practice. Okay, so let's do another example of escape character, that how we're going to use it. In one scenario that I want to print out a sentence from myself that say I love to drink iced coffee, and it's supposed to say this by myself. And how do I print it out as a normal string, including, oh, I don't want to put it here. I want to put it here to notify that this sentence I want to print out as normal string, including the double quotes, to show that it's a sentence from a person. Okay, so how to print out like this? So this is an escape character technique that you can use. Wherever the symbol you want to escape, you want the computer to escape, to compile it and print out as normal string, you have to put it in front of the symbol, okay? So put over here, and it should print out this as normal, and put it in front here to print this double quotation as normal. I have students who understands that I need to put in front here, but forgot that it should be the in front position, and instead the student put over here, which will not work. It will give you error because, as you can see clearly, it's not green color anymore, it's black color. That's an indication that you know your string value inside the double quotes got issue. Okay, so remember the escape character should be in front of the double quotes. Okay, in front of the double quotes. Now, when I run this, you should be able to see the double quote print out without the escape character and without the initial opening double quote. So it looks like a sentence said by a person, right? So this is the practice of escape character. You can practice more. In our physical lessons, we will give students more exercise to practice. But as in the video, I don't want to waste too many time for you all to watch me practice the learning point again and again. But this takes time to practice if you want to, you know, get used to the learning point. You can mix up your own practice, like you know, can print out other sentences or other quotes from a person to practice your escape character. Alright, so let's go to, okay, this section should be the point over here. Okay, so let's go to the next one, line break. Line break is by a backslash and followed by an, okay, which means line break. So in what scenario that we need the line break? Let's say in this scenario, I only speak one sentence. That's fine, I use escape character. But what if I want to get a quote from a book where it prints out much multiple lines or much text than just simple line of quotes? Okay, so line break is in use if you want to break the line into multiple new lines. So for example, let's print this. Let's say I copy this also. Now you can see copy and paste, very useful, right? So I love to drink coffee, and then I want to write I love to eat ice cream, and I can say I love to read books. Okay, so these are the three sentences that we can print out as example. So if I run this, it will be a very long line, and as you can see, okay, I put it over here. Okay, as you can see that it's not easy to manage in the file window also. You need to extend your window wider so you can see the sentences by one glance, right? In here also, so if I run the code, this is just 3 lines, for example. Okay, so imagine I put a 4th line and 5th line, even 10 lines of code, it will be a very straight line over here, and then you have to extend the output window to see the whole thing. So what is the solution for this? If let's say I want to break the line on each sentences, the solution is you can do a backslash n on each line that on each point that you want to break the line, and right now you can print it out again, and you can see that these lines are breaking into 3 lines. Okay, let's run it. Okay, can you see the difference? You won't see the backslash n. Initially it's 1 line, right? It print out 3 lines, but you have some issue here is there's an extra space in front of I. So in order to remove this, you need to remove the white space in the print function too. So let's run it again. You should be able to see each line has inline to the very left side, okay, of the output window. So this is how we use backslash n if you have a few lines that you want to break them into new lines. Okay, imagine if I have 10 lines, it will be very hard to manage the code from the file window to use backslash n, because the backslash n is very hard to read. It's quite raw way to do it if you have more than 10 lines of value or data that you want to print out. Okay, so another way of doing this is by the triple quotes. Triple quote is super useful. Let me do a demo. I'm using the same example as a demonstration. Print triple quotes. You need to open the triple quotes, and you have to close with the triple quote. You can output whatever text inside here. Okay, so I can copy the lines over here and just put it inside here. I can even put special symbol inside here. And over here I can put a $sign. So usually triple quotes is used to print some table output that you want to design your like receipt tables or invoice tables or from a program. This is very useful to use triple quote, or you have a long passage that you want to quote it out but then use your own style, you can use triple quote too. The idea is the same. You have to write the opening and closing quote within the data that you want to output with, and instead of single double quote you have to use triple double quote, or you can use triple single quote. It also works. Let's try. Okay, as you can see, we have a styling output here compared to the \n. Okay, so it really depends on different scenario and different usage where you want your program to use the different techniques. So let's try to use a single quote. It will work no matter you use single quote or double quotes. So let's run it. Okay, so by now we have learned about comments and debugging. We have experienced our first syntax error. We got our solution 1 done and solution 2 to learn the escape character, a practice of escape character, and a line break by \n, and also advanced method of line break by triple quotes. Now let's learn the most basic but important thing in programming is create variables. Okay, variables. What is variables? It means that by variable itself, it means it changes, right? It changes over time. So a good example of variables is your age, because your age changes year by year. So we are going to create, okay, variable concept I like to explain to my students is basically you imagine you have millions of lockers, memory lockers in your computer, which available for you to use. Okay, so you take that locker, each locker is a memory byte, and then you use that locker and put in the data, save the data in. But imagine you have millions of locker in your storeroom, and it's very hard to find the data. Let's say you don't name it, right? So variable name means that you label the locker or the memory in your computer so that it's easy for you to trace back or easy for you to call the data back. So how I'm going to say it, of course, when you label a locker, let's say imagine in your mommy's kitchen, you have salt box, you have sugar box, you have MSG box, you have different containers with different labels, right? And each label must be making sense, right? So if your variables doesn't making sense, or variable name doesn't making sense, is equivalent to, imagine in the physical world, you don't label your book, you don't label your file properly, it's very hard to find that paper again if you have a mass labeling, all right? So here, let's create a variable name, and by the label name itself is name, or I can say my name. Okay, so my name is Nick. So here, actually, this is variable name. It's equivalent to the labeling of the memory container or memory locker, and this is the data that I'm going to put inside the locker. Okay, so I hope this is clear concept of how you create the variables, and left side of the this to your maths lessons should be equal, right? But in programming, it's assignment sign. Okay, it's never equal sign. It's assignment sign. Why we say it's assignment sign? It's because we assign the data into the locker, which labeled as my name, is never equals to Nick, because next day I can change it to Tom, and the next day, the day after, I can change it to Vera. So this is a variable. It will never equals to something. It just assigned to something. So right now, at this scenario, we assign to Nick. Okay, so currently this memory in your computer, this locker, and labeled as my name, have the data Nick. Now, how to retrieve it back? Right now, I no need to use the double quote already. I just need to call my name, and it should be print out Nick. Okay, let's try. As you can see, the data is run out. So for me, I no need to write the nick again because the nick is already saved in your computer memory and is already saved under this locker. So basically, you can imagine that, oh, okay, I go to my house and then I go to this locker rooms, and this specific locker labeled my name has the data I want, and the computer can help you to find that data by opening this locker and print it out the output as nick over here. I hope you can understand this concept easily, because I found that my students can understand this concept easily compared to other methods. Okay, so if you still a bit blurred on which side is the actual data, then you have to rewind the video a bit and re-listen to my explanation. So just remember, on the left side of the assignment sign, please note this is assignment sign. Don't get confused with your maths lessons. It's assignment sign in programming world, okay? The left side is always the labeling. We call variable names. And the right side is always the data we want to save inside your computer memory. Okay, now when we want to print out the data, we don't print out the data by its value. We call the variable name. You might ask, hey teacher, why shouldn't I just call the name? Then I will ask you back, if you call the value string, then why you create a variable in the first place? Now you need to understand that why we need to create the variables, because we know that this data we're going to be hold somewhere for us to do some calculations. In this case, we don't need any calculations, but in the actual more complex programs, we need variables to hold the data or hold the value for further calculations or for further usage inside the program. So as long as you want to save the data, as long as you want to use the data in the later part of your program, you need to create variables for the computer to memorize it and use it later. Okay, now let's go through some rules of creating the variables. Rule number 1. In Python, a variable cannot start with a number. A variable name. Okay, let me correct myself. A variable name cannot start with a number. For example, I want to create a 01 my name, and it's not possible. Okay, want to assign it to nick. It's not possible. It will give you error because you have a number in front over here. Let's try. Okay, leading zeros in decimal integer literals are not permitted. Okay, so basically what it says that you shouldn't use a number in front of a variable name. Okay, it's not allowed. Now, if I say here Tom with the same variable name over here, then would it actually replace the value over here? The answer is yes, and that explains why it's not equal sign. Okay, because at this line, remember in programming is the computer reading from top to bottom, left to right. So at this point, my name value changed to Tom, which overrides the value Nick. So right now in this locker, there's no longer Nick. The data is Tom. Okay, and when you print out the variable again, you should see Tom. Nick is the print out over this position, and Tom is print out over this position where its value already changed from Nick to Tom. This is one thing you need to take note. If you're going to use the same variable name, keep in mind that the value will override the bottom value will override the variables you created before. Okay, so basically if you want to save another name, you cannot have the same variable name. This is something you need to take note during the programming journey. All right, so here, let's back to the rule number 1. Let me comment this line off so that it won't cause you any error when you run out. Now, rule number 2. Rule number 2 is there's no space. Okay, no variable name cannot start with a integer. Okay, and rule number 2 is variable name in Python. Variable name cannot have spaces in between, meaning that let's say I want to say my name. is Nick. It will not run out the output as it will not be even saved because the error stopped over here. And why it stopped is because of the space in between my and name. So you need at least have a bridge. Why I say a bridge? Underscore to connect the two words together. No space is allowed between the two words. So as a whole, this is your variable name. If you want to put a space in between, I would recommend a underscore in between them. So let's see the error. Invalid syntax. Okay, so what it doesn't have any detailed explanation, but basically it says that, you know, you cannot have the space in between. And now when you put, because I didn't put any print, so you won't see the output, but it should be running out as normal. Okay, so here is the rule number 2. Now, rule number 3. In programming, we usually create variable names by two styles. It's either by Pascal case or the camel case. So what is Pascal case and chemical case? Okay, I will use the short form to represent. Pascal case is, let me do a hashtag. Okay, Pascal case example is basically you will capitalize every first letter of the word. Let's say this is a good example. This is my name is Pascal case styling. Okay. Something like this. Now, what is camel case? Camel case example is the first letter is all small letters, but the second words onwards, all the first letter is capital letter. Okay, this is an example of camel case. So now, why we need to keep these rules in mind? Because the longer you write your program, the more variables you created. These are the cases that the styling is easier for your eyes to read and scan through your code. If you put all your variable names with your own style, like something like this, there's a bad example. Something like this, my variable. So if you're going to name your variable name like this, you got issues of reading it and understand it, and you got issues of calling it, because right here, if I don't have the capital N, I say my name like this, first I will say, is it Myanmar? It gives me a feeling of, is it the country Myanmar? And even though I understand, oh, it's my name, I will not be able to run this print function out. The program will stop here, because in my variable creation, I created it with capital N, but in here when I'm calling a different variable name. And to Python is case sensitive, which means that whichever you created the variable must be 100% match, no matter spacing or underscore or capitalized or not capitalized. You have to match your variable name 100% for the computer to find the locker and get the data for you. So in this case, if I run out my code, you will see that there's no my name is defined. As you can see, my name is not defined. So it do a suggestion to you, is it my name over here? But you know, if you have so many variables, you might not even understand where is the error coming from and where is my name actually is. So keeping up a good habit is very important in programming, and very important for other programmers to look at your code. If your code is messy, other programmers will not be happy. Okay, if they are not happy about your code, they can't really help you if you are stuck in somewhere. Okay, so this is all I want to talk about lesson 2 learning points. So in total, we have about 8 to 10 learning points. I would stop the video here, and I would like you to have some exercise of the learning points we learned so far. In physical class, we can get our students with more exercise, but if you are not joining us as a student in the classroom, you can also practice on your own. The learning point is the same, so it's just the practice make perfect. Okay, so next lesson we will learn more about Python programming and more new knowledge about F strings, how to combine variables with text and give it the output, how to make it flexible, input function, interactive with users. So next lesson we will learn more about Python programming. And right now I think this lesson we have learned enough for us to digest and absorb. So I will see you on next lesson. Have a good day. Bye.